Good afternoon, traders. Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to this week's weekly trade zone weekly wrap. So we're just going to run over some of the key, well, not key moves, just some of the moves we've seen this week, and have a look at some of the data that came out, and we'll have a look at next week's data as well. So without starting on the best first, obviously crypto has been really up and about again this week. We will spend a bit of time on it because it's definitely, I'm not saying it's the bull run's back on, but it's definitely something is going on there, and there's been some nice moves there, especially from a few of the coins, so we'll touch on that after. Now, looking at the dollar index at the moment, so we know what happened last week at the end of the week, and we've seen just a slow recovery from the dollar. It's probably grinded on a little bit more than expected. We had some comments from Fed Chair Powell, overnight that definitely gave the dollar a boost. It's been sort of hitting into some of the momentum from risk currencies. Now, the Australian Reserve, the Central Bank of Australia, the Reserve Bank, they raised interest rates this week, but also left the door open for potentially another one, but that really didn't help the Aussie. So we can see that the dollar has had a couple of good days this week, and we have a look at the Aussie. Now, you'd think that the Aussie would have a great week, but yeah, obviously not the case. So with a firmer dollar and obviously some of the comments in the statement, they did look to sell. And the ASX 200, we did have a couple of good days there on that market as well. But the last 2 days have been a little bit weaker, including today after yesterday's selling on US indexes came into the lead this morning. So stocks have been okay this week. I want to take a look at the JPN 225. We still see a potential continuation forming here. There's a little bit of rejection up at this level here. Take a look at the weekly though. We can see a very nice bar here. It's not a breakout bar just yet, but it has broken through this downward trend line, and we will continue to see if buyers can start summing up. Now, this is also with a bit of a week again. That's also feeding that, and then, but looking at some of the other indexes. So, for instance, the US 30. We can see a lovely week yesterday. Same story, a bounce off support. So we'll just see if we can get a new bar to continue that momentum. Back on the daily though, we can see just a bit of a technical pullback after a really nice rally. We really just want to see if buyers can get back in control, and if we do get a continuation pattern forming on that index. And it's quite a similar story on the NDX 100, just not as deep, and the SPX 500 as well. Similar story there, just not as deep, but there is a little bit of resistance, a decent little bit of resistance here at 4387 on the SPX 500. So we'd want to see that beaten after the next higher low, rather quickly, just to signal to us that there is still strength in the market. Otherwise, we'll just see how long this does take to work itself out. Obviously, those comments yesterday were a little bit negative towards stocks and positive for the dollar. They were in regards to inflation and just how things are tracking, and how how the Fed is seeing things with inflation in the US at the moment. So some of the other markets, oil is higher today, but it's been really one-way traffic this week. We just switch over to the weekly. We can see just how big that decline has been. It's a little bit over 6%. You may be wondering why with tensions in the Middle East. Well, it's very simple. We did discuss this a little while ago, and our question was, do those tensions really justify the price increase that we saw a couple of weeks ago? Well, the answer is quite apparent now, and that answer is no. There's still a lot of talk about peak oil coming in at 2030, with demand for gas, oil dropping dramatically, you may say, depending on how quickly EV vehicles are picked up, and then how much oil is used to produce those vehicles, and then how much clean energy is also being used to power grids. So that's definitely one topic that remains at the moment. And on the other side of the coin, with tensions in the Middle East, maybe the market's seeing it not as bad as first thought, with Israel launching an invasion of the Gaza Strip at the moment, and with on the supply and demand side of things, it hasn't really affected oil as maybe first thought. So there are a couple of factors still playing into oil, and we don't really see a low just yet. So we'll just have to see what happens next with buyers, and if they can form a bit of a base, and we'll just continue to see if rallies come up, and if they continue to get sold, and we keep seeing lower highs and lower lows. So it's well and truly broken that trend now, and you know, it's sort of smashed through that little support point here, and it just continues to sit low. So continue to look at that one from more of a bearish side for the time being. Now gold had, you know, a couple of bad days this week after the dollar was sort of bouncing back, so no real big surprises there. We'll look to see what happens at this area here. There's also been a little bit of a touch and bounce of that area. That's at 1943 area. Silver as well, we're just going to update it. Similar story there for silver, a little bit more buying demand than gold at this stage. I want to see, you know, a fair bit of support and demand down at 22.34 up to 22.45. Plenty of resistance though, sitting up around that 22.98 to 23 area, and then again the key resistance up at 23.33. So a little bit of work there for precious metals to do, but with you know, with tensions not maybe driving price, and then with the dollar firing, you know, this week, no real big surprises there. Now, before we touch, we'll touch on crypto first, but we'll just take a look at some of the currencies. So we've touched on the Aussie. It wasn't a great week. The euro and the pound, they've had a little bit of a lower week as well. Kind of like the look of the pound yesterday for a potential continuation here. We did do a report on it. We did discuss some aspects that we were looking to see. You know, namely, we wanted to see this bar close higher. It was trading higher when we did the report. This is why you wait for a confirmation bar to close, and then you look for a trigger after that. So even if you did buy it early, you could have had your stop in there. You would have been stopped out, but it wouldn't have been too expensive. But this one definitely failed, and with those remarks yesterday driving up the dollar, yeah, we did see the pound and the euro and the Aussie all come off lower, so that continuation was totally busted out. But we will continue to look. We still have this up leg here. We still have a higher low possibly building, so we'll continue to have a look at that. Now, the Aussie was lower against the yen. We can see that here it's had mainly a week, you know, week of weaker closes. That was, you know, the RBA is a factor there, mainly I'd say, because if we have a look at the euro and the pound, we can see, you know, quite opposite traffic with buying, but you know, mainly this week, and also with the pound, a couple of nice, you know, moves, higher high here, and just to fail making a new higher high yesterday. So these ones still remain in uptrends, but they are facing a little bit of resistance up here, especially the pound at 185.90, and then again there's some more key resistance up at 186.50. And for the euro, JPY, no real resistance, short-term resistance really at 161.73. And the dollar yen is slightly lower at this stage today, but fighting back from a very choppy week last week, and we are seeing a nice little rally continue this week, and we'll see if we can get back up to test that 151.60 area. That's really going to be interesting, isn't it? We haven't seen any type of intervention at all comments really, and we are seeing it move quite nicely up in the 151 area. So we will see how, you know, how much patience the Bank of Japan have, or if they're going to let it go, and if we do see a new test of 151.60 at some stage. So yeah, it will be that'll be one we'll be watching to see if it's back up to that, you know, that level, if the Bank of Japan do get involved, or if it is going to continue to see them sit on the lines for a little bit longer. Now we will just touch on crypto, and then we'll look at some of the news next week. And I'll try to keep these videos a little bit shorter, because it's, you know, sitting here watching a video for 10 to 15 minutes is it's a pretty big ask most of the time. So crypto had another fantastic week. I'm just going to look at it in the weekly time frames. I can see Bitcoin here got all the way back up to, you know, close, so all the way back up to really close, just missed 38, you know, 37,000 again. Ethereum back above 2,100, testing / nearly breaking those resistance levels, and yeah, very strong, solid performance there from Ethereum. Some of the other coins, so ADA is up 3.37% today. We're going to really see it try to break out of that range and get back up and test this area here. BNB, after that debacle, we remember that really heavy selling that it did see, and that the more, you know, that selling we did see here. At one stage it's down to 204, we're back up to 200 and you know, 56, testing, breaking this weekly resistance at this stage here. And Ripple / XRP go right back up to test some of the areas that it did set after that initial win against the SEC, and we'll see if it can just continue to hold, you know, above that 60-cent point, and if it can get back up, continue to test into the 70s, and yeah, we'll just see how much value there. Ava has had a pretty solid. It's having a solid day at the moment, nearly 7%. But on the weekly chart, nothing really too amazing. But we can see that day there. It's making a new break after yesterday had a little bit of action and a little bit indecision going on there. Very wide range. This is what we love about crypto. We can see a range there of 16%. So a lovely move to follow that up with some good buying direction, and we'll just see what happens if and when price gets sort of back up to these levels here. We know there's a fair bit of supply sitting around up in this band here. So yeah, now moving on to next week, we'll just have a quick look at some of the key ones coming out now. US CPI data, we have the year-on-year, the month-on-month, and the core. That's going to be a key one. Industrial production coming out in China, one to watch. Wage price index coming out in Australia, one to watch. UK CPI, definitely one to watch. It's on Wednesday, and then into Thursday we have US PPI, and we have the Empire State Manufacturing Index. US retail sales as well, and core retail sales plus the core PPI, and then Australian employment data on Thursday as well, and then on Friday we have UK retail sales and unemployment claims for the US, and that sort of wraps it up. So it'll be a good one next week with that CPI data coming out of the US. For Aussie traders, the wage price index plus employment data. Now, if the employment data really does surprise the upside, that it could really indicate that the RBA could have one more rate rise up their sleeves. But I think we really need to see some more growth in the CPI as well there. But that could be an interesting one to keep an eye on next week as well. But yeah, definitely US inflation data that's coming out next week will be the key. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry again, dragging over 10 minutes. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thanks very much for checking out today's video, and make sure you check out our guest speaker. It's currently producing content this month as well. He's doing some fantastic stuff and he's getting a lot of hits, and definitely check that out as well. So thank you again. Have a great weekend and good trading to you.